Hey everybody, welcome to BYOB, the Bring Your Own Book podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Kelly.
And today we're going to be talking about all things Sarah J. Maas, the Maas-Verse, if you will. So, there's a lot that we can go over here. I don't know exactly where we should start, but
Well,
this lady's just pumping out books.
she isn't. Like, don't get me wrong, she's got a lot of books, but she's not like Nora Roberts, where it's like 4 a year, let's go,
Thank goodness.
Because her books are long, which we'll definitely talk about throughout this episode.
And one could argue lately, not super great.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I feel like a good place to start would be at the very beginning, right? Our very beginning. How did
A very
you start?
good place to start.
Thank you. When you read, you begin with
ACOTAR.
I was going with Sound of Music, ABC. But yes.
Yeah. But I was trying to, spin it back.
Oh, okay, yeah. We've got stuff to talk about. Yeah.
But I
did
start with ACOTAR. Yeah.
Okay, same. Yeah.
Because, well, I didn't really know about like Throne of Glass or anything when I started her stuff, and I didn't think that they would all be connected. So
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read so far of all of the books of her, like from the different series, they haven't like converged yet. But
Right.
I have heard that it's supposed to be all connected somehow, but I'm like, what? How? Why?
I think it's because we didn't read the
No.
second Crescent City book yet. I think at the end of that book, there's something like really big that happens. And everybody was like, whoa. I don't know.
That's
But
my coworker was like that. Pretty much exactly like that. Whoa.
I can guess too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I started with ACOTAR. I thought that Throne of Glass was a YA series, and at that time I wasn't really reading any YA books, and I got ACOTAR audiobook for free from the library. So
oh, good for
I was
you.
like,
It's
okay,
a steal.
Great. It was weird to listen to.
Yeah,
it took me
I don't like the narrator.
Yeah, it took me maybe like 3/4 of the book to actually like get into it. But I was listening to it at work while I was like stalking and stuff, so it was whatever.
Stalking OCK.
Yes, not STALK.
Yes.
But
just to clarify,
it would really set the mood for that.
Seriously though.
You're walking down the alley stalking somebody, and then you just hear in your ear, my bowels turned watery.
She loosed a breath. I swear to God. So, every single book, I think, so far by her, breaths loosed everywhere. That's one of my notes I wrote down. I must talk about this. Like, I'm so
Everybody
mad.
is loosing their breaths.
Everywhere. Like, it's like if you have, what is it, like, not a loose pelvic floor, but like, you need to tighten up your pelvic muscles, like you have a leaky bladder or whatever, leaky gut. Everyone's loose in breaths. Their lungs, they need to strengthen.
You need to do some Kegels on those lungs, folks.
Up your VO2 max, because I'm an expert.
Oh man. Yeah, it's turning into the she let go of a breath she didn't know she was holding.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing with this.
It's every book though, Nikki. Like, yeah, every single book, the entire ACOTAR series. I'm now halfway through Throne of Glass. Every book, someone is losing a breath or a sigh or something with oxygen. Every book, at least once. More than once, usually. But I'm like, why? Did we not learn from our previous mistakes over the years? Like,
also, has an editor not told her, don't fucking do that?
I guess not. Maybe she thinks it's cute. It's like my calling card. Like, it's not cute.
My calling card?
I don't think it is. Right?
Like, you say it in the mirror everywhere. 3 times and Sarah J. Maas appears. Or you have to physically do it. You have to go like...
But
into the mirror, and then she shows up. You have to physically loose the breath yourself.
But how does one loose a breath? You know, is it like you have to like hold it in, hold it in, hold it in? Like, I don't know.
It has to be quivery when it comes out.
To loose it, or is it like a balloon where it's like just like constant stream? I don't know.
I was thinking of like when it whistles when you like pull the ends where it's like,
and it's like at the
that's the watery bowels coming in. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
So I also started with ACOTAR, I will say, but I started with the first 2 books, and then I was like, I'm not going to read this anymore. I'm going to take a break. And then my friend at the time, she gifted me a copy of Throne of Glass. And she was like, if you love ACOTAR, you'll love this. It's her first book ever. She wrote it when she was 16. And I was like, okay. And then I read it and I was like, yeah, like I could tell that she was 16. And don't get me wrong, I've read a lot of really bad books by not 16-year-olds. And even one yesterday that I DNF'd. So by like a 50-year-old, I want to say. But anyways, it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever read, but there was just like so many things going on that I don't think she was like just strong enough of a writer yet at that point to make interesting.
Right.
So it was like fine, but then I just didn't read anything by her for a while because I was like, yeah, not really my thing. And I called it Throne of Ass, which I still do to this day. Yeah. But I am liking the series though. Now that I've like started it again, I'm
and surpassed the first 3 books.
I think people are crazy and that the second book is actually a lot of fun. Like, I didn't have to wait 4 books to like it. If I had to wait 4 books, I wouldn't be reading it. Like, no way. No way, Jose.
I own the first 3 books, I guess.
Okay.
Haven't started them yet.
I think you'll like it, actually.
Yeah,
I'm surprised by... Yeah.
I'm mentally prepared enough to like power through the parts that I'm not loving so much to get to the greater good of the reading experience, if you will. But yeah, I read Crescent City in December, I believe it was. And oh boy, did I just feel like I needed a huge break from Sarah J. Maas after that, because I felt personally victimized by that book. I feel like she wrote that to smite me.
Sorry, we should clarify, because I do this all the time too. We're talking about House of Earth and Blood, I guess? Like the first Crescent City?
Yeah, the red one. Not the blue one.
Yeah.
Or the gold one. I don't know what the third one is.
Oh, I have no clue. Yeah, no clue. But like Crescent City is so big on the cover, and then in little letters, it's like, you know, so yeah, just so people know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Crescent City book 1.
Yes.
Was about 500 pages too long.
Yeah.
And
agree.
The only good stuff happened at like 85%. The main girl, like, why can't a girl want to like weld or something? Why do they all have to be like, I'm a dancer, I love to draw,
I'm a dancer,
I can read, or in Vera's case, I can't. So yeah, that's why she paints instead. But yeah, I just think that the book was not good. My favorite part was the little fire spirit.
I did like her, them, I don't know, the fire. I did like her character.
Lubaba? Yes. Is that what her name was?
I don't know. I read this not too long ago. But, okay, the biggest thing... So yeah, I also wrote down that I hate that all of her heroines are like, I have this artistic hobby that I'm obsessed with. And like, not to say that you can't have an artistic hobby, but you have 3 main girl characters. One likes to dance, one likes to paint, one likes music, because in Throne of Glass, she likes music and plays the piano forte. Not the piano forte, okay?
Okay.
So I'm picturing like little Mozart in like Amadeus. Like Sarah J. Maas version.
That's funny.
But anyways, so that's annoying. But like until the last ACOTAR book, I feel like most of the female characters who are like the main characters, they don't have enough like negatives, I guess. Like they're just too like they're kind of like the Mary Sues, but with an artistic hobby or whatever.
Right.
It's like I'm so special, and they're OP, they're overpowered.
Yeah.
But they're super special and they're so beautiful and everybody wants to be with them. And I can also paint, but I can't read, you know? Like,
yeah.
It just, I don't know, it bugs me. I will say Throne of Glass is like a little better, but it's still like, yeah, she loves the pianoforte and everyone loves her and wants to be with her and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, you know? Like, could we just have a real, quote unquote, person in this Fae book? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Nesta is close for me, but still, there's like this weird, like, Disney kind of feel to her books where everything is like squeaky clean, even when it isn't, you know?
Yeah, I think Nesta went too far in the other direction. Like, maybe Sarah was writing these books and thinking, maybe I do make them too perfect. I'm gonna make her horrible. And then it was like, okay, girl, like, you need to chill. Even Nesta needs to, like, take a break from scowling, like, once a day. I mean, that's why she reads the romance books, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, it was nice, though, to see her make Nesta the main character, just for the fact that everybody shit on her completely through the whole first part of the series. They're like, she's just a miserable human. And now she's a miserable fairy. And I was like, okay, cool. Make me like her.
Yeah. At least she had some kind of like training montage that we don't get with Feyre.
Right.
We don't get it with Bryce. Like, I don't even know. Like, okay, going back to Crescent City, something else that kind of bothered me about reading that book was she took all this time to create this world. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, I didn't understand what this world was at the end of it. Because like, it was like fantastical. They had all these fey creatures, fairy creatures, I guess, because it wasn't just fey. It was like goblins and spirits and all this stuff. But then they had like audio mail and like technology that seemed like our kind of stuff. And so I was like, is this an urban fantasy? Is this a sci-fi? What is this? Like, I'm fine either way, but can you just tell me? Because I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It bugged me.
Yeah, I think the main reason it bothered me is what you just said, audio mail. We have that in real life. It's called voicemail, and just call it that. Oh my sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, I don't know, it gives me the ick. I read it, and I'm like, ugh, that's like such a cop-out thing to do. Just call it what it is, or just makes it something totally different.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like a hologram that comes out and then you can just name it something completely different and it doesn't have to be her cell phone that has a voicemail.
That's not a cell phone. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
All this crap, or like have them send crows or something, you know, or have them send I don't know, sprites or something. I don't know, but like, yeah, I just didn't know where I was.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there is a lot of fantasy that's kind of like this. I don't understand why some of these authors don't read some sci-fi books. Sci-fi authors have been translating our kind of technology into new or similar kinds of technology for space for decades and decades, and they make it like they can do it in very interesting ways. So why are you calling this audio mail when some fucking old white guy made like 20 different names for it that are way cooler.
Yeah, or
just put in the work.
Seriously, or on the flip side, she could have done it kind of like Holly Black, where it's like, we are in Fae, or we're in the real world, and there's like a way to get to Fae, or Fairy, sorry. It's right. Like, I keep mixing the two up, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So Crescent City, wherever that place is, I forget the name of it. Crescent City? Guess, maybe?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But like, wherever they are, maybe it could have been in like a sort of Earth place, or like a different type of Earth where all these creatures live. And yeah, so then you can still have your email or your voicemail or whatever, and not have to like try to think of a creative way to make it fit into your like ACOTAR world, but not. Because it's like, just make it urban fantasy or don't.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all.
I agree. I don't know. That book was just so long.
It was way too long, which I think is, it's not just Sarah J. Maas's problem. There's a lot of authors that I'm like, okay, you could have shaved like hundreds of pages off of this and it still would have been great. But like, there were some parts I liked. I liked Hunt for the most part, but unlike you, I did not like the ending bit with all the fighting.
Oh yeah.
I wish it had happened with them all there versus like, most of the people are watching it essentially through a live stream.
Yeah.
And they're all like, go Bryce, go, you got this. I'm like, A, she can't hear you, idiot. B, why don't you go and help?
And also, to clarify, just because I liked it the best doesn't mean I really, really liked it.
Okay.
Because I didn't.
Yeah.
But it was the most interesting part of the book for me. By far. I just felt like I'm reading and I'm like, what is even happening? Nothing is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I cannot pinpoint the je ne sais quoi or whatever that some authors have to write a very long book that has nothing going on or whatever that I love, and I will read it so fast. That book did not have it for me. So yeah, I don't know what it is that I look for personally in a book like that, but whatever it was not sprinkled on this book.
You know, I was thinking of this the other day. I was talking to Scott about romance and like how sometimes I love short, plot-driven whatever, and other times I like the Emily Henry type of books where it's more like character-driven.
Right.
It's a little not longer, but like, you know, it's more of a slow burn, but other things are going on without a lot of plot happening necessarily.
Right.
I feel like Sarah J. Maas is a plot-driven writer who is trying to do character-driven stuff, and it's just not translating. Yeah. So then it's like, she's dragging this out, and we're like, we don't care. Or at least you and I are like, we don't really care, because it's not what she does really, or what she does well, I guess. That's my theory.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, ACOTAR, I feel like, was very plot-driven. There was always something happening, and they were always moving on to a new place or a new problem. I love that. I think that might be why, even though I did enjoy A Court of Silver Flames for the romance aspect, the book did fall short for me in a lot of ways. It didn't have the same feeling as the rest of the series, excluding that fourth book that shouldn't exist.
Oh my god. The Christmas special? The winter solstice special? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but because Nesta and Cassian were just in one place the whole time, and there wasn't really like a huge plot line other than you're being punished because you're grouchy.
And there's a monster in the basement of the library, ?
That she becomes friends with.
Yeah.
Anticlimactic.
I've struggled my own demons, and I can befriend this one. Like, shut up, you know? Yeah. We get it.
Yeah.
You're so perfect.
Tortured.
Tortured poet department. Any new listeners, we're both not Swifties. Sorry, not sorry. But her album just came out, so I thought I would just call out.
There. Just so you can
Nesta
let everyone know.
Nesta is the tortured poet. She's the OG tortured lady poet. She's not. I just want to say.
I don't even know enough about Taylor Swift's new album to get the reference that you're making. I don't know what it's called.
That's the name of it, I think. The Tortured Poets Department or something, or Society. I don't know. It's all I know is that it's over 2 hours long. Why? Is this a Sarah J. Maas book?
Ooh.
And scene. No. But okay,
man.
I will say, Throne of Glass, okay, I'm surprised that I'm liking it. And that's why I feel like you might like it. Because I feel like, for the most part, it's blending the plot stuff that she's good at with a little bit of character-driven stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I feel like, because it was her first series, I'm pretty sure, like, completed series.
Right.
This is where she starts to try to do some, like, epic fantasy kind of stuff. And for the most part, I think it's doing pretty well. But book 3, Heir of Fire, was way too long and slow. And the last book, which I haven't read yet, Kingdom of Ash, I think, it's like 900 pages. Why?
Yeah.
So I feel like I might be in the sweet spot right now, right in the middle of the series, where, like, it's still not crazy long, and there's more plot than, like, meandering through until we finally get to, like, the last 50 pages where it's like, boom, 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 action, action.
Right.
So, I don't know. But so far, a lot of people have told me that that's their favorite series, and I was kind of like, ew, what? When they told me.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I might get it, because it's kind of like the best of both worlds right now, but I could be wrong. So I'm not done yet.
I definitely think I'm going to pick up the series sooner than later this year. But I've been trying so hard to not read series and not start series because, you know, you start a book or you read a book, and then at the end of the year you look and you've started like 20 new series and you're like, what the fuck? I'm never going to read all of these.
Yeah.
But at least this one's done, right? Throne of Glass is done.
Yes.
Well, thank heavens for that. So at least I know when the end is.
It is 8 books, or like 7 if you don't read the novella thing. But, like, unlike the ACOTAR novella, this one was actually fun. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will say you don't have to read it. You don't have to.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but you could skim it if you wanted to, and you'd be fine.
I just found with the ACOTAR novella, what is it? Kingdom of, or Court of Frost and Starlight or something. They didn't feel like the same characters. They're all so happy, and they're like, it's Christmas and Christmas tree and Belle's Enchanted Christmas up in here, basically.
I know.
And I was like, this is not the ACOTAR vibe. Can we have some conflict? It doesn't have to be conflict that you need to recap in other books, but just something real going on.
Oh my god, I don't know what to get him for winter solstice. Like,
Nesta's a drunk on top of the bar and she won't come to visit any of us.
Everyone's a drunk at Christmas, okay?
Who's happy at Christmas? No one.
Bah humbug.
I don't know. I felt like they weren't real. They weren't true to the characters that we had learned about in the 3 books previously.
Yeah.
And so that's mainly why I wasn't interested in that.
Buy that book, and I mean, you warned me. You were like, it's crap, it's fluff, and I was like, oh god. So I just got the audiobook from the library, and I zipped through it in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I hate this. Yeah, and I felt the same way. I was like, this is crap. There's nothing happening. And one of my complaints of the 3rd book and the 2nd book, honestly, was that we don't really see Feyre or Rhys talk to other people throughout the books. It's like this like core group of people that they talk to. And so in this little novella, she's like, oh yes, my favorite shopkeeper. I'm like, who? We've never met her. Why do you
Right?
suddenly know everyone in this town? And you're like, oh, I love these people. They're my people. I need to protect them. Like, bitch,
I teach art
what?
classes or whatever.
Oh, God. Also, by the end of the third book, before the end of the third book, I was so over Feyre and Rhys together or separate. I was like, I'm done.
I know.
I loved Rhys in the first, second book. Third book, I was like, you're boring. Barf.
Right.
Moving on. So when we got to book 5 or 4, I guess, with Nesta and Cassian, I was like, thank God, let's go.
I didn't find Rhys boring in the third book. I mean, in all honesty, I really can't remember what happens in the third book.
Yeah. Well, nobody dies, I'll tell you that. God.
But I was really happy to get Cassian. And just have some like fresh perspective happening. There are still so many characters in this book that I love and in the series that I love and that I want to hear from. I want Asriel. I am dying for fucking Lucian and Elaine's book. And people keep speculating online and being like, she's actually probably going to be mates with Tamlin or she's going to be mates with Asriel. And I'm like, don't break Lucian's heart. I love him.
Yes, but also she hinted at like Cassian and Asriel, they like used to like do menages and like group things and all this stuff. So I'm like, Elaine, the buttoned up, pretty perfect one, you know, whatever. She probably paints too. Okay, she's probably like decoupages or scrapbooks.
No, she gardens. Oh remember?
Oh,
she's a gardener.
Oh, see, she's the nurturer. She's like, I can't get anything but my hands dirty. And then maybe it'll be a menage book. Maybe it'll be a Why Choose Lucian and Asriel and Elaine.
I would love that. I just don't want Lucian's heart to get broken. He loves Elaine, and so Elaine must love him back. Yes. I don't care if it's with other people. I'm just not accepting her not loving him. That's just how it is.
Agreed. I would love that book. Do I think Sarah will write it? Probably not.
I thought that she was supposed to be writing another ACOTAR
I meant
book.
the 3 of them together.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because like another book period, and I was like, I heard.
No, I just feel like, okay. I kept saying to you and to my coworkers, like, why is ACOTAR being moved to the adult section? Because, like, it's not that steamy. The last book is steamy. That was, like, her most adult book, I would say.
Yeah.
But even still, it was pretty tame in terms of, like, adult romance books, you know?
Right.
So I don't know if it's in Sarah's heart to give us a Why Choose or a polyamorous book. Like, I really don't know. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to write all those things. That's fine. Yeah. But I'm like, don't tease that and then be like, just kidding. Of course not. Like, what? Then don't even bring it up. What the heck?
Right.
I do wonder, I don't remember if I learned why Throne of Glass was moved to the adult section. I feel like it's just they wanted to rebrand because ACOTAR had moved. I don't think it's anything to do with the content.
Was ACOTAR in the YA section at one point?
Yeah. It was only until the last book came out with Nesta and Cassian that they moved it to adult. And because it was just that one book there, they're like, well, we got to move the whole series.
Right.
And then they did the new covers and
I definitely, like, I understand from, like, the sexual aspect, I guess, like, maybe they're not, like, that steamy, but reading them, I was like, I wasn't getting YA. I was like, this makes total sense why this is in
ACOTAR?
Yeah, why this is in the adult section. Like, it's like a fucking 300-year-old man preying on a 20-year-old or whatever. That's fucking disgusting.
Twilight.
I know, but also Stephanie Meyer made Bella wear a khaki skirt and a button down into the meadow, and that screams YA. Like,
oh yeah,
that screams virgin.
Yes, that's true actually, because the outfit that Rhys makes her wear to the party or whatever, that is definitely not YA.
Yeah, like just like things like that where I was like, that it doesn't really fit with the demographic of what people would be like, this is definitely for teenagers. So I wasn't surprised that it was in the adult section, and I thought it was more like new adult. but they don't have a new adult section, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Which I get, but that would be helpful. Just like for people trying to buy books, you know, of like, what is this? So you don't pick up an adult book and be like, why is everyone so mature?
Right.
Or the other way around. Why are these people so mature?
I guess that's why you just have to go on Goodreads and look.
Yeah.
It usually says like young woman or just turned 20, blah blah blah, goes to blah 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 to prove herself, and then you know it's new adult.
Yeah. You know what? I'm kind of curious. I just thought of this. I don't know why. I wonder if Sarah J. Maas would ever write under a pen name and like try to write something either younger or like older, like I don't know. Like the stuff is adult, but I just feel like more mature, you know?
Right.
Because it is kind of like on the line of new adult. I don't know. I wonder if she'd ever do that.
She's in. This is mean. Not mean.
Please do tell.
Her and JLA and Rebecca Yarros are in this category I like to call fun fantasy, where you don't have to have big words or really deep thoughts. You just have to have some magical elements and then fantastical. Like, they are not hitting it hard like Robert Jordan and like what you think of when you think of traditional like fantasy books. They're just like, we're just here to have a good time, which is great. I'm also here to have a good time. But it's different. And
I wonder if that's plot driven versus character driven, maybe.
I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with like how, I mean, if anyone's ever read a Robert Jordan book, there's a lot of description. It's very dense. It is all world building. You are thrown in there and you just figure it out. And it's all about like the terrain and the journey. And that's not really what these books are about. They're very plot driven in terms of like these things are happening, but they could be happening almost anywhere. You're not getting it's not as meaty as these other
it's like more commercial
books.
instead of literary.
Which is fine. But it would be interesting to see her try to, even if it is still fantasy, do more of like a serious fantasy, or like just not romance fantasy.
Yeah, because I feel like Crescent City is her maybe trying to do that under her own name still, but there is still the romance in there. And I'm sorry, but it's too long. I shouldn't feel like, why is this too long? Even if it's a long book, I should be enjoying it, you know? Like The Poppy War, Babel, I didn't feel like this is way too long. Of course it's a long book, but I didn't feel like, oh god, like why?
Yeah.
I don't know. But she's pretty accessible, so I guess that's why one of the reasons why she's so popular. But I had a note here about so I wrote down like all of my thoughts on all of her books that I've read, but then also just like general thoughts. Because I was like, I need to be prepared for this. There's so much to talk about. But I don't know if it's a question or a thought, whatever, but like Sarah J. Maas, Taylor Swift, again, I'll bring her up, Colleen Hoover. What do they all have in common? Okay? They all have crazy fan bases, like crazy, where not everyone who likes them is going to be like, don't you dare say a negative thing about her. But there's a lot of people who are like, you know, we're going to cancel you. We're going to come after you. We're gonna, like, why? Could we relax? Like, oh, why do you think that is? Like, I don't know.
I think maybe, I don't know so much about Colleen Hoover, because I don't really feel like her main fan base is our demographic. I feel like it's a lot of like older women, like 35 plus. I could be wrong. Like a lot of people our age still read her, or younger, like early 20s. But I think with Taylor Swift, Sarah J. Maas, they were getting big and doing their thing when people who are our age were like 14, 15, Taylor Swift even younger. I remember when Teardrops on My Guitar came out. And when you have something that you love so much at that age, and it's something that has gotten you through a lot of hard times, or is just something that you feel was like really formative in growing up, it is probably really hard to hear somebody critique that if you're not somebody who's used to hearing people critique things that you like. I don't know. But that's the only thing I can think of, is just that when these people became popular, their main fan base was at an age where they just really held everything very close.
Yeah.
And now they can't really separate that. Like, I held Twilight very close to me. And I still do when I think about reading it at that age. But also I can acknowledge, like, that I'm an adult now. And some of those things maybe weren't A-okay. Or, like, good thing. But that doesn't change my feelings about how I felt about them then. Yeah. But I think a lot of people just don't have that separation.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, I don't know what it is, because it's, again, these are not the only fandoms that have, like, obsessive extremist fans, but they definitely do, and it is a little odd. Like, I don't feel that way with, like, Jennifer L. Armentrout stuff.
Right.
But, like, even the stuff that I'm diehard about, I'm not that person, because I'm just used to people making fun of me anyway. Or, like, what I like, it's like, whatever, you do you. But, like, I don't know. But I also think it's interesting working at a bookstore, seeing who buys the books or whatever. Like, they're Sarah J. Maas and Colleen Hoover, or Colleen Hoover. I always forget that. But the two authors, they have very similar demographics, and they get a lot of readers across the board, mainly women. But, like, there is a difference, I find, between, like, I think you know this too in your heart. Like, people are way quicker to put down Colleen Hoover than Sarah J. Maas, even though they both have, they both have, like, positives and negatives, maybe more than, depending on who you're talking to, maybe they'll like one more than the other, whatever. But, like, I think they're both kind of on a similar level in their genres. And maybe that's wild for me to say. But, like, I don't know. I think they're accessible. That's why they're popular. I don't think either of them is, like, the best of the best or the worst of the worst, because,
And I mean,
I don't know.
Say what you want about Colleen Hoover. Say what you want. Say what you want about Colleen Hoover, but the lady sold more books than Jesus. Like, sold more copies of her books than the actual Catholic Christian Bible. So, clearly people like her. We read a couple of her books. We read 2 of her probably most popular books. One of them in a genre she doesn't usually write in, Verity, and then one of them in the genre, or, like, I wouldn't say the genre she's best known for, because it's not a romance book, but it is kind of in that vein. And I don't think it's her fault that people who are reading it aren't interpreting it the right way.
It's honestly, a lot of it, I think, is the publisher's fault, because they're the ones who are, like, putting money into putting this on a romance list, or putting it here, getting this signage, like, all this crap, because I have to deal with it at work too, and people are constantly coming up to me being like, where are her books? I checked in the romance section, and I'm like, okay, a lot of her books are there, but the one you're looking for, It Ends With Us, or It Starts With Us, is not in romance, because it's not a romance. Yes. Oh my god. So, and like, if you've read the book, people, you'll know it's not a romance. Like, it is about abuse. It is it's literary fiction, if you will, contemporary fiction, so
yeah. So, like, I don't know, she's doing better than I'm ever gonna do, so who am I to judge?
Know, Nikki.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna be pumping out that many books, or even any books, but, like, she she has her stuff nailed down into what she's good at and what people want from her. Can't blame a girl for hustling.
I was gonna say not trying. She's doing it. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't, like, okay, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to be the best in the world to do something, right? Like, she has a niche. Sarah J. Maas has a niche. They're good enough at it. They have a reader base. They're successful. They're making money. They're laughing all the way to the bank. So at the end of the day, it doesn't even really matter if we're like, yeah, she's kind of mediocre, because, like, we bought the books. We read the books. We're all talking about the books. So,
yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, Sarah J. Maas, she's just gonna keep doing what she wants to do. People are gonna keep buying them. I personally am not going to purchase any more books in the Crescent City series because I can't get on board with that unless I read the second book and it really just turns it around for me and I'm like, oh my god, this is actually amazing. I'll just read them on, like, through Libby or something, which is fine. I still want to read them. I still want to support her in some way, but I've supported her by buying a lot of her other books. She's fine.
Yeah. She's not gonna, like, lose her home over us not buying a book. Like, she's fine. I will say, I have to say, on a serious note, because she has also been in the news for, like, political reasons, right? I do think it is very interesting. I said in some of my reviews on Goodreads, like, throughout the Throne of Glass series, she talks a lot about prison camps and people being enslaved and all these things that are very reminiscent of what happened to Jewish people in the Holocaust.
Okay.
And I don't remember what year these books were written in, but, like, it's older. But now with what's happening in the world with, like, Zionism, anti-Semitism, Middle East stuff, I'm just like, this is very interesting to be reading, because she's writing all these things about, like, oh, this isn't okay, it doesn't matter who you are, blah, 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 all this stuff. But then she's walking a different walk in real life. So I'm like, this is a little weird. Like, it always makes me uncomfortable when the author in real life is so different than, like, the values they're trying to promote in their books. And they're like, like, I don't know. It's like, it's just weird to me.
I mean, I understand the idea of obviously being uncomfortable with what she is preaching in real life and what she's showing people, because, I mean, I don't know enough about world issues to speak on, like, what's going on, but that is concerning. But on the flip side of that, I don't feel like that's, like, a general rule, at least for me. I don't read books to hear about what the author thinks about things in life.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen King writes horrible characters, horrible, racist, murdering, like, malicious people, and I don't ever think, I wonder if he thinks those things too. So, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's, like, something I think of across the board. I just think, I mean, her, J.K. Rowling, when, like, J.K. Rowling obviously, like, very blatant about trans rights and what she feels is appropriate for people to do with their bodies, and like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to support her books, no matter what her books are saying. Like, I don't want to give her money just because of that. But I don't ever think, like, when I'm reading a book, is this what the author actually thinks?
Oh, yeah, that's, like, I guess it only came to me reading this book because I had seen things online, like, recently about her saying things or not saying things or something. Because, yeah, I agree. I'm not usually like, these terrible things are happening. I wonder if they also think like that in the real world. This was, like, the opposite. She was like, everything in the book is, like, the complete opposite of how she's living her life, and you would think that she would want to be
Right.
like the character she's writing because it's like the good thing to do. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like she's trying to teach these things
Right.
through the book. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Sometimes I just want to be like, have you read your own book? You know, like to some
She'd
people.
probably just be like, I was 16 when I wrote that. What did I know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, she probably doesn't even remember what she wrote. Like, that
We
was
don't
so
remember
long
what we
ago.
read.
Oh, man.
Relatable. I can't remember what I read like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm with
I
you.
don't know. I think I do have a question kind of like to wrap things up, unless you had more you wanted to talk about.
No.
No?
Hit me with
I have
it.
like kind of a wrap-up question. Yeah.
Okay.
Overall, out of all the books you've read by her, I have the numbers in front of me for me, but like, do you know kind of in your head what you would give her books as like an average rating as an author?
I think I would probably give her like a 3.5. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna have a good time. Not all of them are gonna be really great. You'll have a couple 5 stars in there, but they'll mostly go by pretty quickly for you. That's how I would describe her work as a whole of what I've read.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I actually have like the same if I look at the numbers. Yeah. Because, yeah, it's like for better or worse, you know what you're signing up for, which can be great because at least you know what to expect. But you are going to have the occasional winter solstice special. Unfortunately.
Yay.
Lucky you.
Yay.
To anyone who said you have to read that book, they're lying.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You.
Please,
No.
I implore you not to, even, because it was a waste of time.
It was.
And on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching and listening today. If you want to hear more from us or see more from us, you can follow us on Instagram at BYO Book Podcast or on TikTok at Bring Your Own Book Podcast. Remember, you should be happy for the winter solstice. And until next time, see ya!
See ya!